Greetings and salutations, everyone. It's Glenn Calloway coming to you from the basement on a Sunday morning, just back from Florida, and back home in the basement, where I'm nice and comfortable, surrounded by my records and CDs and my stereo, and got my dog back. Everything's cool. Today I wanted to talk about something that freaks me out. It's when someone says, "What are your favorite bands of all time?" Does this fluctuate for you guys? It seems to be changing for me, and I would have sworn if you asked me a few years ago, no way, man, this is number one, this is number two, this is number three, this is number four, this list will never change. But I find as I'm getting older, I'm going back and visiting bands and artists that I ignored for whatever reason in my life, or were just a casual fan of and decided to explore their catalogs. And I have discovered that I missed out on some freaking awesome albums and awesome bands that have become my favorites and knocked some of my all-time favorites down off their pedestals. So I wanted to kind of share what I would have thought would be in my all-time list if you would have asked me a few years ago, versus if you ask me right now, today, what it is. There's a difference of 6 bands/artists on the new list. And not that I don't still love the ones that got moved down, but they got moved down. So let me start with my kind of list from old time Glenn. Number 1, Beatles. Number 2, Dylan. Now, I'm not really letting this, it's not really a big secret. They're still number 1 and 2, always will be. So those two never change. Number 3, I have the Grateful Dead. Number 4, I have Yes. Number 5, I have the Rolling Stones. Number 6, I have King Crimson. Number 7, I have Led Zeppelin. Number 8, I have Jethro Tull. Number 9, the Allman Brothers Band. And number 10, Uriah Heep. That would have been my classic list of my top 10 favorite artists. Now, today, when I compiled my list, Beatles are still number 1, Dylan's still number 2. I will go to my grave with those two. They're actually 1A and 1B. I should just consider them as one unit and make them number 1 and just have 11 things on my list, but I won't do that. So I got to put Dylan at 2. So let's start at 10. An artist that a friend of mine, Tim, he didn't turn me on to the artist, but he turned me on to this album, Arthur Brown's Galactic Zoo Dossier, about 4 years ago, I think, probably. I was more than familiar with Arthur Brown and his great 60s classic, I Am the God of Hellfire and I Bring You Fire, just one of the great songs of the 60s. And I had that Crazy World of Arthur Brown album when I was young, and so I was familiar with that part of his work, but I had no idea what he did after that. And he came up with this project called Arthur Brown's Kingdom Come, which is just phenomenal. This record, 1971, I believe it was released. Tim lent me this and gave me the CD and said, "Go check this out." I listened to it and I go, "Man, that's a hard listen. It's just a bit out there." But there was something about it, and there were some tracks on there, especially a track called Sunrise, which has the coolest guitar solo. But I fell in love with this album, and it's one of my top 10 albums of all time, Arthur Brown's Kingdom Come. So I had the CD for a long time. Earlier this year, Arthur Brown reissued this album on vinyl from his website. I believe there's only 500 copies of it, and autographed as well. Ordered this, absolutely friggin' amazing deal. Came on like a splattered vinyl, and Swordfish Records. But geez, one of my favorite albums. Okay, number 9, I have the Grateful Dead, who were number 3 on my list before. Now I'm a huge Dead guy, so this is not any kind of negative thing to the Dead, because these top 10 artists are all just incredible. I love the Grateful Dead. Jerry Garcia is a god to me. Number 8, Yes, who were number 4 before. Now, I've told this story many times, but back in the day when Yes was coming out with Close to the Edge and the Yes album and all that, I had a good friend named Wayne who was big into Yes, and we couldn't get it, and we thought he was a real wanker for liking Yes, but he knew a lot more than we did, because at some point in my life, this was a band that I did give a second chance to and went, wow, this is incredible music. And one of my favorite bands of all time now. Yes, Close to the Edge, Tales from Topographic Oceans, Fragile. I mean, just, you know the catalog. Amazing band. Number 7, King Crimson. King Crimson was number 6, so they kind of stayed the same. King Crimson, the debut album, In the Court of the Crimson King, when it came out, just a game changer. Still a seminal album, an important record. Number 6, a gentleman who never would have made my top 10, but I was a big fan of, but he probably would have been number 11 or 12 and could have easily been a top 10 artist, Frank Zappa. I have become a pretty big Zappa fan and turned into an absolute Zappa fanatic. The man is just a genius, brilliant. What got me kind of back into the game in a big way was when he released the Roxy box a couple years ago. Man, this is good. It's like 7 CDs of all the Roxy performances from 73, 74. My favorite band with Napoleon Murphy Brock and George Duke and Ruth Underwood and Ian Underwood. Just Tom Fowler. Great. My favorite Zappa band. And these performances are great. This is a great box set. It's like $70 and it's 7 CDs. Outstanding. That, and going back and just rediscovering albums like Hot Rats and just the whole catalog. I've always kept up my Zappa catalog. I probably have about 50 titles from Zappa, maybe more. I think I showed it in a video a while ago. This came out a couple years ago too, the Hot Rats Sessions, which is 6 CDs. Basically, just it's everything you could possibly imagine, from the Hot Rats Sessions to just the bass piano parts to start a song, for Peaches and Regalia, and it just goes through the whole thing. It's just an amazing set, real historic document for Frank, and I love Zappa. And number 5, my current obsession. Where is it? I gotta find it. It was all because of this album. No, this wasn't George. This was, again, my friend Larry Graves. Oh, geez, I'm getting all these things confused. Larry Graves, the Canadian stud muffin. Him and I were doing CD exchanges. He gave me this record to listen to, The Black Sea by XTC. Now, previous to that, I had heard, like back in the MTV days, I heard a couple of their singles, which I liked. And then I bought Oranges and Lemons on CD in a used CD store once, which I liked. So they were a band I liked, but just, I got a couple of things in their catalog. I'm good. Larry lent me The Black Sea and blew my friggin' mind how good this was. I watched the documentary, This Is Pop, which is on the Crave Network. I'm not sure if it's still on there, but if it is, it's a must-see documentary, even if you don't think you care about XTC. Brilliant documentary. And I fell in love with this album. Just fell in love with it. Absolutely brilliant. From there, I just started picking up everything in their catalog. English Settlement, one of my favorite albums of all time now. You got to hear this album. I turned my nephew Jack onto it a couple of weeks ago, and he immediately ordered it from Amazon. We're doing a CD exchange thing, or a kind of an album exchange thing through Spotify with on Rich Strickler's channel. And Brian from Massey's Main Entertainment, I gave him that English Settlement to listen to, and he gave it a 9.5 out of 10. He absolutely loved it. It's just a great album. English Settlement, XTC. You got to listen to it. Number 4, Caravan. Okay, now this is where I was getting mixed up. My friend George Allen, everybody's friend George Allen from the vinyl community, he sent me some VCLT, Vinyl Community Love Train, that stands for when people, other YouTubers send you records they think you might like, just out of the kindness of their hearts. George sent me this, Caravan. If I could do it all over again, I would do it all over you. And I just went, wow, this is so freaking incredible. Previous to that, I had this on CD, which I enjoyed very much, but not to the point of obsession. So Caravan quickly became one of my all-time favorite bands. I then purchased this crazy box set. It's limited to 2,500, 37 CD set, Caravan. No, I was holding it upside down. There we go. What do you think we are? I'm trying to do this without causing any trouble. Oh, comes with so much stuff. So much stuff. Posters of the Canterbury area of England, where they're from. A family tree of the band's history. And this incredible book. So good. This book is fantastic. And then I'm not going to show you all the other goodies, but there's posters and autographed stuff, and amazing, really made for the fans. And then let me try and get these so they won't fall out. And then 37 CDs of live material, all their studio albums, just an incredible wealth of music here, which I love very much. It's just, I can't speak highly enough of this band. Just amazing, amazing, amazing. They just, I don't know, their music just resonated with me, and I am a total freak for Caravan. So they are number 4. Number 3 might be the obsession of the year for me. Was a fan of this man's for a long time. Had Ziggy Stardust and Station to Station, Young Americans, Let's Dance, did buy The Next Day and Black Star when they came out at the end of his life there. And that's kind of about it. I was a Bowie fan, respected the artist. Again, Larry Graves on the Exchange, he lent me Low. And this, again, explosion in my head. Absolutely think this is brilliant. My favorite Bowie album. And from then, it's like the Bowie box. I just came home with the Reality Tour live set. So Bowie, number 3 on my list. Then Dylan, number 2. Beatles, number 1. So what bands ended up dropping out of the top 10? The Rolling Stones. Can you imagine the Rolling Stones not being in your top 10? Led Zeppelin not being in your top 10? Jethro Tull, Allman Brothers, Uriah Heep. I mean, wow, that's incredible. So please, give me your thoughts. Am I just being impulsive? Do you guys switch yours up? Or are you just kind of going, no way, man, this is it. This is the Mount Rushmore of bands, and you can't take it down. I would appreciate your comments, would appreciate you subscribing, would really appreciate you pushing the like button. I find I'll get 400 views and 40 likes. That's only 10% of you are pushing the like button. I'm not sure if that's because 90% of you don't like the video or you just forget. But please, push it for my sake. I need some algorithms. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon.